Again, final call for all those who are behind at their stalls to kindly come to the stage area because we are starting the very important panel discussion on branding and promotion. To take this forward, I'm going to invite Kohalika Roy Chaudhary from Travel Trends Today, who will introduce the panel to you and to take the discussion further. Kohalika, please.
Hello everyone, a very good morning to all the beautiful ladies and gentlemen out there. How are you feeling? Isn't it a great day, right? Great. I can see the enthusiasm already there. So at the very outset, I would like to convey my heartfelt regards to Goa Tourism and Goa International Travel Mart, the entire team of 2024, for organizing such a beautiful event and having us all together under one roof so that we can explore a little bit more about this very interesting vision of regenerative tourism. So we at Travel Trends Today are with immense pleasure to have put together this very beautiful and interesting facts-driven panel discussions for you to explore more on the regenerative tourism and the aspects of Goa, a destination for global travelers. So these two panel discussions, we have very eminent speakers who are prominently known in this industry and have made contributions since ages. So today's panel discussion, further building on the first panel discussion that we had yesterday, Goa Beyond Sun, Sand and Sea, this discussion named as New Vision, Strategy, Branding and Promotion seeks to delve deep into creating a branding and promotional framework that not only brings to light an effective mechanism to showcase and promote the rich and immersive Goa, but also enhance its overall destination appeal. So without any further ado, myself, Kohalika Roy Chaudhary from Travel Trends Today, please take the privilege and honor of calling upon stage a very, very interesting personality whose positive energy just fills the room wherever he steps into. May I please call upon stage Mr. G.B. Sridhar, who's going to set the tone for today's panel discussion as a keynote speaker today. He will also later sit on the panel discussion as one of the speakers. So basically giving a quick introduction about Sridhar, he heads VFS Global's tourism services business globally, managing client relationships and business development for existing and new tourism accounts. Sridhar comes with comprehensive knowledge of the operating environment and socio-political landscape in India, Middle East, South Asia, and Africa regions, especially India. He has built a strong connection with the Indian and Middle Eastern travel trade industries over the years and leverages this network to support VFS Global's business objectives. In his previous assignment, he served as the regional director for the Singapore Tourism Board covering India, Middle East, South Asia, and Africa. Let us please put our hands together for Mr. G.B. Sridhar on the stage, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Kohalika. Namaste, Namaskar, Vanakkam and Vandanam, and a very good morning to all the delegates from various lands of the world and to the Travel Trade Fraternity of India and Goa, a very warm welcome. And thanks for the introduction, Kohalika. So today my job is to set the tone and share with you some thoughts about branding and marketing. And as I was thinking about it, I was thinking how best to talk about it. So I'm going to give you 6 windows to effective destination branding and marketing. And let me start by saying this. There are at least 2 journeys in tourism, at least 2. There are many more, but at least 2 journeys in tourism. 1, making a destination great. Now, we have heard from Sean and the panel yesterday on regenerative tourism, Mr. Sunil. Making a destination great is a responsibility of the government, of the public, of the private sector in that destination. Nobody can do that job for you. Now, making a destination great is an internal affair to the government of the day, to the tourism bodies of the day, travel trade fraternity, and then you also seek the partnerships of people from all across the globe. And that's how you make a destination great. Now, the second journey is bringing the destination closer to the target audiences and enticing travel. So many people feel that as long as I do marketing and branding, I'm good. No, guys. I think all of us know in the room, you do marketing and branding, but it is to entice travel. It must convert into numbers. If not, marketing and branding is just a paper exercise. You can have all the greatest visuals of the world, but people are not going to come. All right? So 2 journeys, and I'm very mindful, if this clicker can work, okay. I'm very mindful that I'm distilling knowledge from experts to spark conversations with experts. So let me be very clear. I don't profess myself to be a professor of tourism and marketing, and I'm here talking to you from a position of high knowledge, and I got this interesting bowl, and I've got the vision of the future. No. I'm actually distilling knowledge that all of us in the room know. You are subject matter experts. I cannot talk about how to promote in Vietnam. I cannot talk about how to promote in UK. The experts are in the room. You guys are the experts. What I'm trying to do is I'm distilling knowledge that all of us have, and I'm putting it into 6 windows to spark some conversations with the panel discussions that's going to come up with very eminent speakers in the panel as well. So that's my caveat. First, so let me open the first window. Be authentic. Now this applies, so just to be clear, the 6 windows I'm talking about, the lenses that Mr. Sunil or Sean or the Goa tourism people will put on is from a destination promotion, destination marketing angle. But for the people in the room as a travel agent, as a tour guide, you will also be able to relate to this in your own lenses, right? So let's have that in mind. So be authentic. It is about staying true to the destination's unique culture, history, arts, heritage, food, and experiences. Authenticity now drives the world. With all of this social media and the influence of information overload, everybody knows what actually is happening, right? It's very easy. So unless you're authentic and you are saying and promoting a destination in the way it should be, people will find you to be a fake very easily and very soon. Under authentic, so this is me trying to be very cool and hip. Carl, have you heard of the word OG? You have, right? I didn't. So Sean, he's a young man, he would have heard about it. So when I was doing this presentation with my dear lady Rashmi Chandani, sitting in Dubai office, so I was telling, hey, first point is being authentic. Then she immediately went, you mean OG? I said, what is OG? Original gangster. How many of you have heard OG? Okay. How many of you have not heard of OG? You are in my league. So I was telling, what the heck is OG? And she said it's original gangster. And it's actually a slang, it seems. It is incredibly exceptional, authentic, or old school. OG is to praise somebody or something that's considered authentic and excellent, often in admirably old school or classic way. Now, OG is actually very, very relevant to what we are talking about, authenticity. You have to go back to the basics. Who are you? What is unique about you? And how can you say it in an excellent way? What is unique about Goa? What is unique about your cultures and your art and your food? How do you say it? And how do you go back to some old school? Because, let us all admit, all of us are now in very nostalgic mood after coming out of COVID. Everybody has gone to some basics. They want the comfort. They want that assurance that things are good, the life is good. So being OG is important, even as a tour guide. If you're able to be OG, going back, I mean, I've heard companies being started in the 1980s and 1990s, sitting in the room. So go back to some of your basics. How did you all start? Where did it come from? So being OG is important. Next, I'm going to talk about 3 C's. Connect. Connect is about connectivity. No destination can promote itself unless there's air connectivity, visas, the facilities for the last mile. When the guy steps out from the airport, that particular taxi driver or the Uber transport that's going to get you from airport to hotel, he's going to make an impact because he's going to connect, right? So connectivity is about all this visa, connectivity flights, and so on and so forth. Connectivity is stakeholders. Goa Tourism has flown in people from all across the world. because you are the partners, the stakeholders who are going to connect. And then finally, who's your end audience is the people, the audiences that you're going to bring into a country. So first C is about connect. The second C is about conversations. Today in the world, people are very, very interested in conversations. They want to be able to come to a destination and have conversations with the locals, with conversations with people who understand the way of the local destination can provide. So conversations must be part and parcel of your planning cycle. Who are your taxi drivers? Who are the guides? Who is in the hotel service industry? Who are going to have these conversations with the travelers coming in? And finally, 3C is celebrations. Now, we are the world's best industry, travel and tourism. How many industries, when you can wake up in the morning and say, what am I going to do today? I'm going to make someone happy today. We are the best industry in the world. Travel is about the only industry, but there are a few others, of course, of some other variety, but travel is an industry about spreading happiness. You and I are in the business of spreading happiness, spreading connectivity, spreading people's emotions and getting them across to appreciate cultures and other people's interests. So celebrations is about how do you come, welcome a traveler, let him celebrate or her celebrate anniversaries, birthdays, family reunions, the desire for discovery. So celebrations is something that you need to facilitate as a destination. Third window is content. In this modern day and age is king. So content is about on brand, on point. You need to be on brand and on point. It is about a sense of place, stories of local ways. So it is about people, it is about what attracts and what sells the destination very well. What are some of your most unique features about your destination? And importantly, what's the unique features about your people? Because today, people, not today, for decades and centuries, people travel the world because they want to have a sense of place of a different destination, of this exotic destination they're going to. So it is about content is king, creating content that appeals. Sorry. Content is king. The second point is about clutter breaking and creative and engaging content, right? The Saudi tourism campaign. How many of you have seen Saudi tourism campaign with Lionel Messi? One of the best campaigns you could have seen in recent years. It was a huge combination. I mean, many people think, oh, it's just because it's Lionel Messi. No. Lionel Messi was a star attraction, but the way they did the advertisement, what were they breaking, right? So it is going beyond what you think about Saudi tourism. And today, it has generated 747 million across the world. People have seen that. So it is clutter breaking, it is creative, and importantly, it engages. That person sitting in that window saying, wow, you mean we can break all of this in Saudi Arabia? So it was a very, very well done. So content is king, is about creativity and making it engaging. Now, delivery is queen. So my former assistant chief executive of marketing in Singapore Tourism Board used to say, Sridhar, you can go and create the most awesome content, but if you can't deliver it to the people, forget it. So her mantra was very simple. 30% or thereabouts is content creation. 60 to 70% is content distribution. Make sure it reaches the audiences you are reaching out to. Many people forget that. Some people, we spend $80 on the content and $20 on the distribution. What happens? Not many people see that most amazing content that you've created. So distribution is very key, is very important. Delivery is queen. It's carrying the messages to the right audiences through the right bridges. I call them the bridges because it is getting your destination and bringing that to the audience. So it is various platforms and touch points. It is bringing destinations closer to the hearts and minds of the audiences. Well, I mean, this was my previous avatar, one of my final projects with the Singapore Tourism Board, Lost and Found in Singapore. This was the very first National Tourism Organization collaboration with an OTT, over-the-top platform, of interactive content, right? So you choose how the story develops. You come to a certain point, which direction you want to go. The audience chooses it. Then he goes and sees that direction and it moves. It generated very, very good buzz for us in India, right? So engaging and being interactive with your audience is very important. Next, fifth window, tracking and measuring. All of us are in the business of results, right? Nobody does this for, okay, I want to make myself feel good today. I want to promote Goa in a certain way. No, it is about livelihoods. In tourism, a lot of us forget, especially for the destination side, we are in the business of jobs, we're in the business of economic development, we're in the business of the livelihoods of the people. So that's on the government side of things, right? So formerly when I was in the Singapore tourism, but I'm very clear, Sridhar, we exist to make the lives of Singaporeans better. So that's the government's mantra. But on the tourism stakeholder side, it is your audiences, it is your target segments that you're bringing them. Make sure that they are having a good time, but you have to track it, right? So measuring, tracking and measuring, data-driven approach for formulating strategies and action plans, making informed decisions to achieve desired outcomes. Your data drives your directions, but your directions also can drive your data, to be very clear. Because sometimes, as maybe Sean and Mr. Sunil, you know what Goa can sell, and you will sell it in that way. But the audiences will also want to come and consume Goa in a certain way. You have to give it to them. But what you can do is a 10-year plan to promote Goa in a certain light that the audience is not ready for today. But it is a strategy for the government. Fine. Let's drive that strategy. Finally, the sixth window, adapting and reimagining. Moving with the times, staying agile and responsive to changing market trends, consumer preferences, to adjust your brand and marketing messages. Now, this is a collection of gone by era of tourism promotions done, right? The extreme left is actually Singapore. Singapore, the sunny smile isle. I mean, when I looked at it, I was thinking, oh my God, that was how, in many, many decades ago, that's how we promoted. And all of that is of the past, right? Singapore, South Africa, Australia, and Bermuda, few decades ago. Now, same countries. Good day, right? In Australia. Singapore, rain showers made in Singapore, right? And Bermuda and South Africa, more and more. The countries adapt. You have to move. You have to adapt to the changing preferences of audiences, what is new in the country, what is happening. Same goes for the travel trade. If you are selling the same old packages of Goa of 10 years ago, something is wrong, right? So from a travel trade fraternity, good that you are here, you're experiencing Goa in a new light, regenerative tourism, and so on and so forth. Then you have to be able to sell this to the audiences because things have changed, things have moved, and that's change is a constant in human lives, right? So how do you adapt? How do you reimagine and put that across? And what is coming up? The future of tourism marketing is going to be very interesting, right? Adopting interactive and immersive to captivate audiences and use of innovative technologies, whether it's VR, AR, and AI. And that's an interesting picture that my colleague Rashmi put up, and I think it's very apt. And when I looked at it, I said, guys, this is how the world is going to be. Maybe it is our successors, but we have to set this up, right? So, with all of these 6 windows, if you open them correctly, then the destination can open its door. As I put it, we insert the destination name. It could be Goa, it could be Singapore, it could be Australia. We welcome you right through the doors. And if I can just sum up the 6 windows, be authentic and OG, the original gangster. The 3 C's, connect, conversations, celebrations. The 3rd window, content, is king. The 4th window, delivery, is queen, and one either cannot exist without the other. 5, tracking and measuring. Everything is about results, everything is about data, everything is about moving forward with those data. And finally, it is about adapting and reimagining. If you sit still, a tree may grow, but you may not grow, right? So you have to adapt and you have to change and reimagine yourself. And with that, I conclude. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sridhar, for setting the tone for today's panel discussion. So let us all move ahead towards a very interesting discussion that we have. Next on the panel, may I please take the privilege and honor to welcome Mr. Ajay Prakash, who is a very dynamic personality and he needs no introduction, absolutely. He is an expert and a prominent voice on travel, tourism, and aviation sectors. He is the chief executive of Nomad Travels Mumbai and the founder president of International Institute for Peace Through Tourism India. And he took over as global president of IIPT in September. He is also the current president of Travel Agents Federation of India. He is the director on the board of Federation Associations in Indian Tourism and Hospitality and the current board member and former director chairman of the World Travel Agents Association Alliance. Let us put our hands together for Mr. Ajay Prakash to please come up on the dais, please. Next on the panel, may I please welcome Mr. Karl Vaz, who again needs no introduction. He is one of the most recognized and awarded professional. Karl is the chairman and CEO of Mumbai-based Charson Advisory Services, which is an in-depth market research, public and media relations firm, providing successfully tested and cost-effective marketing strategies to the national tourism organizations of various countries and private sector organizations. Charson's clients over a 15-year period have included some of the world's prestigious government bodies, such as Destination Canada, Dubai's Department of Tourism and Commerce Marketing, Dubai Expo 2020, Turismo de Portugal, Catalonia Tourism Board, Slovenia Tourism Board, Tourism Authority of Thailand. Additionally, Karl has served as president for SCOL International Bombay for 2 terms. In 2020, Karl was the recipient of SCOL Order of Merit. In 2022, he was bestowed with Colleague of the Year. So may I please welcome Mr. Karl Vaz on the dais, please. Next on the panel, we have Mr. Andres Hayes, who has spent 11 years with Visa International, playing a pivotal role in the credit card business, establishing the company's operations center for Central Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Hayes also managed the iconic B. Smiths at Union Station in Washington, D.C., and found AH Consulting firm. As the president and CEO of Edify Hospitality Consulting, Hayes expanded his impact, working diligently to elevate hospitality services in both Washington, D.C., and Abu Dhabi. Hayes is a proud member of the SCOL International Washington, D.C. Club and also sits on the International Board of SCOL International. May we please welcome Mr. Hayes on the dais, please. Next on the panel, we have Mr. Jack Sukija, who is a seasoned tourism and hospitality professional with over 20 years of experience. He's partner in Welcome Heritage Panjim Inn, which is Goa's first classified heritage hotel. His family business also owns 2 and operates 2 other small heritage hotels, Welcome Heritage Panjim Posada and Panjim Peoples. A commerce graduate from Goa University and MBA from Goa Institute of Management, Jack is a history enthusiast and nature lover. He is ex-secretary of Goa Heritage Action Group and president-elect of Travel and Tourism Association of Goa. Let us please put our hands together for Mr. Sukija. Last but not the least, may I please take the pleasure and honor to introduce our session moderator, Mr. Mark Mendes, who has been mentoring, shaping, and partnering the travel and tourism industry. Mark is one of the most networked professionals and senior-most members of the Goan tourism industry with over 35 years of experience. Starting his career with Swiss Air as a sales officer, he grew through the ranks to become the Director Sales and Marketing, India and South Asia for Qantas. During his years of experience in the industry, he also worked with United Airlines as regional director, Western India, and later country director of Discover the World. Post a stint with several trade and travel organizations, he chose the path of an entrepreneur to partner the industry on digital transformation. Today, his work involves consulting several government organizations, private sector corporates on big data and predictive analytics and its application for the tourism industry. A subject matter expert on the board of Goa Tourism, he works closely with its members to bring new tech, data, and AI to increase tourism outcomes and shaping the tourism strategy for the Goa of the next decade. He's also recently been appointed as the director on the board of Economic Development Corporation of Goa. Mark is also on the SCOL International Advocacy Board and an executive committee member of SCOL Goa. Mark is a commerce graduate from the Bombay University with Masters in Aviation and Tourism Management. So let us all put our hands together for Mr. I need no introduction and take his name. The man of the session is right here. Over to you.
Thank you very much. This is the 6th OG, right? So these are all originals, gentlemen. I have known them as friends, and I've known them professionally, and I'm absolutely delighted to moderate this session for Goa Tourism with this very eminent panel. Will you please give them a big hand? And I think you need one more big hand to be given, and I'll tell you for whom it is. Will you please give that big hand right now? Louder. Louder. That big hand is for you. Thank you for attending. Sridhar, awesome windows. And thank you for that last one door to walk out. But having said that, the tone was set yesterday at the panel discussion, which was there. I don't know who attended, but those who have attended could probably understand that this session primarily is a takeoff from that runway. Sridhar did mention the points yesterday. And what I would like to just highlight is that the discussion we're going to have today is going to be an undercurrent for the members of the PR and Marketing Board who are attending this session to ensure that some of these points will be discussed and probably taken up at the next meeting. So thank you very much. And gentlemen, whatever you're going to add right now is going to be met. I also want to tell the audience and the panelists, this entire session is being recorded. So the Goa Tourism people will be actually going through this recording and then taking down these notes. So once again, thank you very much. This session is primarily broken up into three different visions, just 3 different sections. One is the new vision that we want to give Goa, and that's what we're talking about. The second would be with regards to brand building, and the third one would be with regards to bringing in new products and how do we take it forward with the people. So I'll start with my first question on brand building, on the new vision. And I asked this question to my friend and colleague in Goa, Jack. Jack, Goa is rich in culture, with many explored and unexplored paths, and some of them yet to be experienced. What's your articulation on this new vision of regenerative tourism?
Hello. So if you're looking basically, if you look at Goa as a destination, the 2 trigger points to put Goa as a destination were the coming of the Taj Hotel and the hippies who came in the 70s. And if you looked at the product life cycle in terms of a destination, you start with your introduction, your growth, your maturity, and your decline. If you look at introduction and growth, there was a great sense of rejuvenation which came in, or regeneration. There was employment for locals, there were entrepreneurs who propped up, and it was all hunky-dory. Today we have reached a point where if you look along, especially along the coast, there's a question of balancing quality of life versus what tourism gives in terms of employment and economic development. But since we are now looking to go to the hinterland and where we are looking at augmenting our product, I think it's important that we have learnings from what we did right and what we did wrong on the coast and take it forward. Regenerative tourism was a concept I have heard first yesterday, and it basically says that you have to leave a destination better off when you after you leave it from what it was when you came. And as we are looking to exploit, we have 6 sanctuaries, some great bird life, we have some great heritage assets in the hinterlands, from houses to festivals, whatever. And we have to see that we retain the essence of these festivals or the heritage assets or the sanctuaries which we do, which we look to promote for tourism. So that I think is very crucial, that we retain the essence of the place, and tourism is a facilitator for generating employment, but still maintaining the quality of life there.
Jack, thank you. So I think what you're basically stating that we eventually started tourism in the 60s and 70s. It was authentic regenerative tourism. We are going to the second cycle right now. There has been a learning curve over there. We need to pick those learning curves, understand that feedback, and make those changes, what we're going to do in the future as we look forward. Thank you very much. My next question is also on the new vision, and I'm addressing this to Sridhar. Sridhar, what is the role of the ecosystem? And you spoke about it in your initial speech. The ecosystem of the trade, the government, the private sector, and the most important, the people or the communities, and the play that they will bring in the new vision, because these are all players in the new ecosystem, and how they're going to get together to bring this new vision.
3 points. First point, nobody builds a destination for travelers to come. Nobody does that. So first and foremost is the government, right? It's a whole of government effort to understand where the country is going or where the destination is going. Let's not use the word destination, the way the country is going or where the state is going. So you first and foremost, as part of the economic development plans, the whole of government must have a role for tourism, because you are creating livelihoods. People who are staying here, they've got a history, they've got a culture, they've got a future. So it must make sense for them first. So if I use a Singapore example, everything we do in the country is not for travelers to come and enjoy. We didn't build Marina Bay Sands just for travelers, right? We wanted for the entire people of Singapore to understand and appreciate. So a Dubai or a Paris or a Sydney does the same. So first and foremost, whole of government, clarity on where the economic development plans are moving and how tourism plays a part. Second, you first onboard the people. The community is important first. It is not the community last. Community is first. Your people have to matter. If today regenerative tourism for Goa, as I understood it from yesterday's sessions, is about bringing travelers beyond beaches, which is fabulous, by the way. I was applauding Sean, and when he was talking to me about go beyond beaches, I think it's a fabulous tagline, because A, it is forcing that first-time traveler who has never heard of Goa, saying going beyond beaches, he's going to say, Goa is famous for beaches? Then he's going to Google, and then maybe he's understanding beaches, and he will come. And then the second time or third time traveler is going to say, oh, okay, you mean there are beyond beaches in Goa? He will go and do that. But the communities play its part. If you're going to bring this traveler to a interesting experience out there in some outskirts of Goa, out from the city, that community better be ready, and that community better be welcoming, and that community better also be enthused to be part of the journey. And finally, then, it is collaborations and partnerships. Any destination cannot promote itself without the help of all the travel trade from all over the world, without the travel trade fraternity within the country, without all the key players in that market, hospitality industry, transport industry. The last thing, and I think we all of us know this, the last thing you want is a taxi driver to spoil that holiday for the traveler. And that, in all my humble opinion, can actually be a huge derailer. So the collaboration between many parties is involved, internally first and then externally. Yeah, but it's very important. The ecosystem of any destination has got multiple touch points, and it originates from the destination or the city, but it has got so many touch points that collaboration and partnership is the only way any destination can be out there bringing in the travelers.
Sure, thank you very much. So it's people first. Don't kill the goose that lays the golden egg. And I think what you're also talking about is last mile connectivity, to stay absolutely connected. Thank you for that. Andres, I don't know whether to say good morning or good afternoon or good evening to you. For the last couple of weeks, you've been traveling different time zones. I hope you're with us in Goa. Thank you very much. I have a question for you because of your vast experience, especially with your influence and experience in Central and South America. And I think I would want you to share some experience of that with us. And my question to you would be, with your experience in the tourism industry, can you give us some examples of regenerative work that's been undertaken and changed the narrative of a destination?
Thank you for that, Mark. And first of all, once again, thank you for hosting me. First time in Goa, and I'm delighted. And I do have to say, apart from the wonderful and beautiful beaches, the food is amazing, and the hospitality and the welcome that we have received from the members of this community has been amazing. So thank you for that. Mark, answering your question, on the panel yesterday, I believe it was Mr. Sosa who mentioned Costa Rica.
Yes.
And that is one of my favorite, and also, apart being one of my favorite destinations when it comes to marketing, because I'm from Panama, okay? I'm the neighbor. But when it comes to marketing, I have to say that they got it together 20 years ago, or probably plus. When they started the campaign, and they know there were the 3 pillars, like Chita just mentioned during his presentation. The first one that they did, they had to bring all of the stakeholders together. All of the different agencies had to work together to make and to go after that goal, to make the destination one of the top in the world. 2, they worked also with the community and made each member of the community to become an ambassador. And that was very key. And the 3, it was actually the marketing campaign to be able to promote it. Now, they did something extremely wise, which is one of those slogans that they used to use amongst themselves in Spanish is pura vida. And that means it's all about the life. They made that into international slogan. So by the time that you actually step out of the plane and you see with that immigration officer, the first thing he will tell you is pura vida. You walk in and you actually get into customs, and they will tell you the same thing, pura vida. You get into your taxi driver and he will tell you, welcome and pura vida. And then the conversation starts. But they built an ecosystem where they tried to ensure that every single citizen and every single member of the industry becomes an ambassador. And that's key. But how do they get there? Like we're saying before, first, they make sure that all of the stakeholders work together and they were on the same page. 2, that the community was involved. 3, they developed a marketing campaign. Now, another example is Panama. Panama is more than the canal. And like you were saying yesterday, Goa is more than the beautiful beaches that you have there, that you have here. So they built a campaign where they actually started talking more about the origins, the roots, including the Afro-Caribbean influence that they got in the country. They talk about, yes, about how they got to build the canal, where you have one of the few countries that is actually covered by 2 oceans, the Atlantic and the Pacific. They talk about also the origin of the Spaniards in Panama. And then not only that, yes, we do have the dollar. We actually make it easier based on the influence that we received from the United States back in the days. So when you combine all of that, and the citizens actually got involved and they started building academies, half of the citizens are very diverse in English, it made it easier to be able to promote the country. And now, actually, it's one of the top destinations. They have to play catch up from Costa Rica. But then the last destination I want to use as an example is Croatia. If you recall, during the pandemic, they took advantage of that situation. And that was the first country that opened the borders. They say, you know what? Yes, the pandemic is happening, but come and join us. If you all remember, Croatia is open. So that deals, but then they build their ecosystem to ensure that, one, they prepare themselves to be able to receive every single member from multiple destinations, and at the same time, they ensure that they follow all the health requirements to be in compliance with the guidelines to be able to avoid the spread of COVID. But at the same time, the community was involved. So my message to you all is going to be the 3 pillars I just mentioned: stakeholders, community, and marketing. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, and I'd like to re-summarize that as all-inclusive and consistency.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brand building is an exercise which I think Carl would know from the back of his hand. Carl comes from a background of PR and advertising, then moved into representation and did a fabulous job with all the destinations that he represented. So I have not a very difficult question, at least for you, Carl. Keeping brand building in mind, that branding is not all about logos. You just don't change a logo and have a new brand. Branding is about what it involves is a holistic 360-degree approach to crafting, developing, and nurturing a very unique identity. Goa has taken it upon itself to change its avatar, if I may say so. How does a destination work to create this new brand?
Thank you, Mark. All successful brands or rebranding exercises can be, for the sake of simplicity for the audience, be brought into a funnel, a three-stage funnel. You need to have awareness, you need to have consideration, and then conversion. So it falls into a funnel, a three-stage funnel. And I compliment Goa Tourism and the committee for deciding to look at this entire approach afresh. I think regenerative tourism as a concept works well in the awareness. So it will take Goa not only within the country, but also globally on a more sounder footing beyond beaches and sun as they wish to do. Having said that, I think as you go the funnel closer down towards the consideration, now you have built awareness based on the premise that you have gone beyond beaches and sun onto regenerative tourism, inclusivity, community, hinterland, and so on. You need to understand how to differentiate yourself from other destinations that might also be there, because now you're in the consideration section of the funnel, and that is important. So how do you differentiate between other destinations that are looking at hinterland, other destinations that are beyond sun and beaches, other destinations that are also involving with communities? So as you rightly said, 360-degree. Now, when we were kids, we had thought of a protractor and to look at 180 degrees, 190, 360. If I ask, and I don't want to do it now because I know we're limited on time, but generally perception of 360 is 180 degrees here and 180 behind. But do you know 360 can be from there, 180 to down and behind as well. So it's like a ball. You need to look at it all the way around and all the way around from above. That is the true essence of 360. So having said that, my consideration that I'm putting forward is that when you're looking at communities, you will look at communities from different perspectives, right? You look at ecological and sustainable environment aspect, but you need to look at other communities as well. For example, the typical buzzword that is used in communities is how do we involve LGBTQ+? Fair enough. But has anyone added to the other communities? For example, what about the community of the disabled? Those who are visually disabled. How do we make tourism inclusive of them? Are our attractions and parks and our sites ready for accepting the blind? What about physically challenged people, right? Mobility challenged on a wheelchair. Are the beaches ready to accept them? Do we have not just slides, but how do they get onto the beach? How do they access the sand? Look at other communities. For example, we want Goa to be family friendly and go into the hinterland. But what about the communities that have spastic children or children with autism or autistic people? So you need to look at communities from 360, all sorts of communities. If you look at going into the hinterland and you want to involve agri-tourism, farm to table, well, I think to me, the best place to start with is with the panchayats. We have 330 villages. I think Sir would know and Mark, Sean would know how many villages to be precise, but I think we have about 330 odd villages in Goa with about 189 panchayats and 2 Zilla Parishads, perhaps, the district panchayats. How about involving them in this entire farm to table concept and hinterland? Do we engage them? Do we find out how much they are ready and educated? And as Andreas said, how do we take it to that level so that people who come in know that this message is brought into the community right to its microscopic level. So from that perspective, if we can succeed there, then from consideration with the right amount of branding, and as Sridhar said, spend 70% on the delivery, right? He said, content is king, delivery is queen. Not to sound a joker, but but the point is, how do we take that message across? So from consideration, we come to conversion. I think that is what we need to do.
Carl, thank you for that. Carl has given us another dimension of all-inclusive. And I think United Nations, the UNWTO had a mandate for destinations to prepare their tourist attractions to be friendly to people who are challenged. But thank you for giving the 360-degree change for us, Carl. Thank you. Sridhar, sorry, did I wake you up from your thoughts? My apologies. Cultural experiences and value customers need a value ask, if that's what they want. What, in your opinion, should be the plan to create campaigns that connect with these audiences, revive the interest of the international tourists to consider Goa as a premium destination?
I think first and foremost, it is about authenticity and uniqueness of Goa. The relevant state tourism board, the stakeholders within Goa must understand and identify what is unique about Goa. Because today, if there is destinations which are quite similar, right? A city, for example, if I use Singapore as an example, a city destination. What makes Singapore unique? There is Dubai, there's Sydney, there's New York, there's Paris. So we then have to understand ourselves what is unique about Singapore, right? It's a concentration of experiences. It is about the multi-ethnicity and so on and so forth. So similar for fashion in Goa, what is unique, what is authentic about Goa, number one. I think number two is about then understanding this mantra that all of us know in the tourism industry. The tourists go where the locals go. The tourists go where the locals go. If today you're going to create something for the tourists and the locals are not there, the tourist is going to come and within maybe a year, 2, 3, it will die. And we have, in Singapore previously, we have learned it the hard way in one or two experiments we have done. And we have come to the conclusion, go back to the basics. That's why I'm saying BOG. Where are the locals going? Where is the Goans going for their food? Where are they having their party? Where is that cultural things happening? And how authentic is those? Bring the tourists there. And then they are part. So for example, if I use Holi Festival as an example, this smearing of paint, if a tourist is coming in, he's going to think, what is this? But over time, if he's seeing the locals are enjoying and they are having fun, they are smiling, they are going to enjoy and they are going to join in. So where the locals go is where the tourists will go. So identify that. So sometimes we go around having our own list, but actually the compass is provided by the people of the country, of the destination. So find out from the Goans where they are enjoying and bring the tourists in. And then the final point is about the final communication part. It is a last mile, right? So unfortunately, once you've thought creative, thought visionary, thought right brain, go to your left brain. You have to make it functional, guys. I think all of us in the tourism and travel will understand. As a travel agent, you will understand. It is a flight connectivity. I was in the same car as a lady who was coming from France, right? It is all about the flight connectivity, getting here, sorting all of that. It must functionally make sense. So the rational mind a traveler wants to travel with ease. So make it easy for the travelers to enjoy Goa. I think that's very important. Make it easy. If it is not easy, the traveler may come once and he may not come again. But the other bigger problem is he will tell 10 other friends, please don't go. Then it becomes a huge challenge. So make it easy for people to understand and enjoy the destination. Thank you.
Sridhar, thank you very much. That takes me to the fact what you said is go where the locals go. So when we do motorcycle rides around the country, we stop to eat where the truck drivers stop to eat. And we did that in Malaysia and successfully as well. But yes, I think the point that we need to take Sridhar ahead is be yourself. Just be yourself. Don't try to be like somebody else. Be yourself and people would be like you. Thank you for that. Ajay, last but not the least. With all your experiences in being with the travel trade for all the years, started with the airline, moved into a travel agency, association heads for various associations, I would like to ask you, what is the trade's understanding of the need to bring these audiences back? And we're facing that here in Goa. We want these audiences that we had earlier to come back. And are they seeing enough growth? Are we seeing enough growth from the domestic tourist? And more importantly, are these tourists regenerative in their approach to tourism, or are they conscious and respectful of the host state's culture?
Well, the business has changed, the tourist has changed. And Goa, I mean, it's had its heyday. What do we need to bring people back is, you know, what some of the things that have been said. I mean, the authenticity. You cannot create experiences for tourists. The experiences need to be genuine. And that's when you will have people buying into it. See, this is one of the biggest industries in the world. I mean, we know the figures, 10% of global GDP, 1 in every 10 person is employed in the tourism industry. But what's unique about this industry is that it's the only business that is only about people. The construction industry, the IT industry, they all have something that they're producing. What are we producing? At the end of the day, if you can produce happy memories, then you've done your job. So this is a business about connecting people across all kinds of boundaries. Race, religion, cuisine, ethnicity, everything. This is the one industry that has the power to connect people across all of these. And that is what we need to bring into the community. Because if the host community does not benefit, then this is a bubble which will not survive. You know, Talib Rifai, who used to be the Secretary General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, which has now rebranded itself to UN Tourism. He said, you know, sustainability is not about sustainability of a product or a destination. Sustainability is about sustainability of the human race, and this industry has a huge role to play here. I was reading the other day, 2 days ago, the climate change is a big, big reality. We've got a situation where until 2018, the increase in sea level was 1.53 millimeters. Since 2018 to 2024, it has gone to 3.1 mm. That is frightening. For a destination like Goa, for island destinations, this is a real threat. And this is something that we in the industry need to be thinking about all the time. I mean, I'm so happy that we have glass bottles here and not those plastic bottles which have been the bane of tourism. I remember walking out on Baga Beach many years ago, and in the morning the tide would throw all that back at you. Hopefully, that is not happening today. So if we want to get the high-spending tourists back, what we have to do is we have to reinvent ourselves. Yes, of course, it's, you know, sun and sea and sand and, you know, everything else, including the Feni, which, by the way, ought to be a GI, it is. Great. So should Poi. I mean, we need authenticity in what we're offering to people, and we need our people, the community, to believe that there is a positivity by bringing in tourists. If we can do that, domestic tourism boomed. I mean, that's what kept the country going during the COVID years. And Indians have rediscovered India. But what we need is a little more sensitization of the tourist, which is the responsibility of us as travel trade practitioners. Because every time you send a tourist out and you prime that tourist with certain ideas. See, I also represent another organization called IIPT, which is the International Institute for Peace Through Tourism. And it's based on two very simple things. One, that tourism could become the first global peace industry because it connects people. And two, which is very simple but more powerful, is that every tourist is potentially an ambassador for peace. So when, as a travel trade practitioner, I send people out, whether it's to Goa or it's to Cambodia or it's to Costa Rica or wherever it is, if I can plant this little seed which says that when you travel with an open mind and a gentle heart, you discover that the differences that seem to divide us pale into insignificance before all the things that we want in common. So if we send people out, Mark, with a belief that tourism is a force for good, then apart from having fun, tourism can also serve a purpose. And if we can get that into the tourist that is coming into Goa and offer them different, you have the olive ridley nesting. You should be promoting these things. I used to do a kite festival in Goa. We had people come from all over the world. We had 30,000 people on the beach at Miramar flying kites. These are activities is what we need to create, meaningful activities that have a genuine feel-good factor, not only for the tourist, but also for the community. And if we do that, I think the scope is enormous in Goa. There are forests, there are beaches, there are rivers, there are alligators that you can, send people out to. There is so much more. It needs to be got out. People need to know that these things exist and that they're accessible. And we need to make them, of course, affordable and eco-friendly. We have the opportunity. Getting people here to talk about regenerative tourism is a wonderful idea. Let's go back with a few of these ideas and start implementing them as the trade. That's it.
You'd like to add to that? Of course, please.
No, I have the greatest of respect for Ajay and Sridhar, but I would just like to put in a different perspective on certain things. So Ajay started off by saying that Goa has had its heyday, right? It's been common knowledge to everyone to write off Goa over the last 10 years. It was always better off. But you just see the numbers. When COVID started, where did everyone come to within India? It came to Goa. You had a 6-fold increase. Today, if you see an Oberoi, which never put investment into Goa, has just announced a 132-room luxury hotel. So, Goa has a lot of things we need to improve on, but I'm sure tourism is something that will sustain in Goa. Climate change is a real threat, enhancement of products we need. We all agree we need to improve. But I'm very positive on Goa. The industry, the figures show it. The growth in the airline numbers, which my colleague Nilesh Shah will be better to tell you, show that. So the second point I would also like to put is Sridhar said that, and I'm sure in Singapore that happened, that's his perspective. He said that the government makes a destination. I'm very sorry to say in the case of Goa, the destination was made by the people. Government gave connectivity, they gave. Informal survey done by us at TTAG says that the tourism industry just in indirect taxes contributes around 2,000 to 2,005 crores. What is the money that the government is putting back towards tourism in terms of infrastructure, right? My colleague Bush will talk about the fact that Kondo has pulled out, Germans have pulled out. Why did the Germans pull out? The main reason was cleanliness. Now, we in the industry are responsible. I'm not saying no, but whose job is cleanliness? So where is the accountability on some of the decisions that the government is taking? So having said all that, Goa, at least in the medium term, is going to be a great destination. We have no doubt about it. But there are challenges which we need to address.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jack, you make a very valid point. See, the point is that I don't, when I say Goa had its heyday, I don't mean it's over. But what is important is for us to understand that you need to disperse the tourists. That's important, We can't have them all coming into the same place. There are opportunities and there are options. So if we continue to do that, which is to disperse the tourists, then yes. Because otherwise sustainability becomes an issue. Garbage collection, the attitude we have is, my job is to dirty, it's the government's job to clean up. No, it's not that. The citizens also have a responsibility. And that's something that we also need to work on. But concentration of people. I mean, we are the most populous country in the world today. That it has its benefits, it has its disadvantages too. So we need to look at how do we meaningfully create experiences that disperse tourists from what has been the traditional happy hunting grounds.
Thank you for that, and I'd like to just thank,
Fully agree with you on that. I have no issues, but I don't agree Goa has had a heyday, which he has agreed on.
So I'll just go away from my brief. We need these kind of conversations where we are actually discussing and debating. And then out of these debates and discussions, we would probably get something which is far more refined, which definitely we will apply. But thank you for your inputs, Jack. Really appreciate it. And Ajay, people, communication, make it all inclusive. And I think what you said most importantly was give them that experience. Thank you. So, Andres, things have changed. Pre-COVID, we talk about pre-COVID, we talk about COVID, and then we're talking about post-COVID. With your experience in the hospitality business, and more so with what you are doing at the present moment in skilling, skilling has changed itself. It's a different animal altogether at this point in time. So skilling and uplifting the value of our tour operators and our service industry, Goa mainly the hospitality industry, which is large, will be a critical building conscious tourism. How should a destination prepare for this?
There are several words, Mark, and very interesting question. I think we need to, I know we need to go back to the basics. Unfortunately, one of the industries that suffered the most after the pandemic is ours. We lost a lot of talent. And the talent that we're actually getting, especially in the service part of it, is the one that is doesn't have the experience. And one of the things that we have to do is to invest in that talent and take them back to the basics. Remember that for it to make it a success experience, we need to pay attention to details. We need to ensure that communications is at the same level when we're talking about the front and the back of the house. I will give you an anecdote. I was in the Middle East, and this lady was trying to order just a bottle of sparkling water. She was approached by 4 servers, and everybody interpreted something different. She got Sprite, then she got a club soda, which is almost the same. Then she had a light sparkling water, which I didn't know existed. And then she got a regular bottle of water. Now, the interesting part in all of this, and I looked at it and I stepped back, I said, well, because I was witnessing what was happening, all 4 servers were from different countries. And they all had a different interpretation about the same thing. And one of the things that we specialize in my company is the following. We do not teach ESL, English as a second language, but we came with a new concept, especially nowadays that this industry is very multicultural. And what we have come up with is hospitality English. There are certain things that actually here in your country, you might find in certain regions might be a different way, that in another part of the country might be interpreted something else. We don't need to go that far in the United States. When we talk about the pops, and we're talking about the soda. If you're in the West, you refer as a pop. If you are in the East Coast, you refer as a soda. But what I'm trying to say here, that if we go back to the basics when it comes to providing the best level of service, and pay attention to what I'm about to say here, is all about the detail. I'm a strong believer that if you treat your guests as king and queens, those are going to be recurring guests. And one thing I actually want to say for my fellow panelists that we're discussing, I will add one more thing to this piece. It's about telling the story. And I think what's that answer. So I'm literally, and I continue to support what they said, but I think there's one missing piece here, which is we have to create the story and we have to tell the story. And when you tell that story to your guests and you make them inclusive and you welcome them, trust me, because you don't want that customer or that guest to have a one-time experience. You want them to walk away. You want them to tell the story that they learn from you, spread the word, and encourage more people. And that's the basics of our industry. Detail-oriented, tell the story, and let's make them feel welcome.
Sorry, interesting. So you're saying there's something called hospitality language?
Actually, I do have to say we came up with that term.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, it's becoming effective. When you have individuals from multiple cultures and countries, let's put it multiple backgrounds, and you being able to teach them to communicate the same way, that will elevate the level of service that will be provided. And then we'll be avoiding this issue.
Thank you, Andres. Thank you very much. And I think it really helps us here in Goa because we're a huge industry. The hotel industry is large over here, pretty much fragmented, I would say, individual hotel owners. And this uniformity that you're talking about, whether it's in skilling or language and whatever else, would play a very important part to bring certain amount of uniformity and standardization in our standard of service.
Absolutely. And remember, take them back to the basics when it comes to the service itself. That is critical. You cannot have somebody serving from the wrong side. You're going to have somebody crossing their body in front of you. You're going to have somebody basically not even looking at you in the eyes. You will need to go back to the service. This is what demanding. And unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because now we're dependent. Now, every time that you go into a destination, what's the first thing you do? You do research. You go into YouTube. You want to actually start doing your research prior to getting to that destination. So we have access. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, to our cell phones, to the internet, to social media. That is the ones that are driving us. And we need to understand that that's something that we can't do anything about it. We have to live with it and we have to adjust. But at the same time,
Thank you.
it is our role to ensure that we play our part. Everything can happen, but we have a role to play. And it's to bring them back to what hospitality is all about. That's only, if we are not one of the things in the conversations, and I'm going to actually end with this, that we're talking about AI 2 days ago, Mark. And I said, AI is great in terms to promoting and collecting data for us to be able to build the stats. But by the time that we in this industry think that we're going to be replaced by AI, that will never happen. We're in the industry that we have to do with people. It's a people to people or person to person industry. We're here to provide service. When you walk into an airport and you see that we've been replaced by machines and you have to wait minutes to be able to actually see a customer service agent, we are doing something wrong. So keep that in mind.
Andres, thank you very much. Thanks. Yeah, we had that discussion on AI, but we can get into a debate later. Thank you. Thank you. Ajay, again, we had COVID and post-COVID, everyone was talking about sustainability and carbon neutral, carbon negative, etc. And that became a new mantra. Every destination, including us, what you're looking at now, said that we need to do things differently. Do you think this will fade off? Do you think this kind of a norm that has happened will add new businesses? And especially I'm talking in terms of Goa. Or do you think we need to do something different to bring this kind of spenders? Because these are also high spenders.
I really hope that it doesn't fade away because it is an existential crisis that we are facing. And there's no point running away from it. I mean, yes, you and I might get through. But
You mean the OGs?
yeah,
The OGs.
the OGs, yeah, that's right. But then there is, I mean, there's this old Red Indian saying which says that you don't inherit the earth from your ancestors, you hold it in trust for your children. Now that's what it's all about. I mean, we really had hoped that the industry had learned something from COVID. But as soon as things opened, I mean, everybody just wanted to get back into business, which is understandable. People had suffered. A lot of businesses had closed down. People had accepted salary cuts. So yes, there was a need to make money. But the human race is sometimes so stupid that when you see a crisis in front of you and you close your eyes, I mean, that's what an ostrich does. We ought to be doing it differently. And therefore, it is important on all of us who are part of this industry, because it is a huge industry. It's a huge industry. It's bigger than automotive. It's bigger than many other industries. So we have a role to play. And we have a voice that ought to be heard. I mean, today the travel industry, if it comes together, is in a position to influence global events. Look at the wars that are going on. I mean, there is no end to them right now. But if the entire world and the tourism industry got together and started speaking to their governments, there would be some traction. So we have a responsibility as such a big industry, and I do fervently hope that we will go out and do this. If I may take just one moment to read out something to you.
10 seconds.
Okay, I will be very quick. You know, like those ads that telling you about the dangers of mutual funds. So, you know, this is called the IIPT Credo of the Peaceful Traveler. Bunny is sitting here from our South African chapter, and it says just a few things. It says that grateful for the opportunity to travel and experience the world, and because peace begins with the individual, I affirm my personal commitment to 1. Journey with an open mind and a gentle heart, accept with grace and gratitude the diversity I encounter, revere and protect the natural environment, appreciate all the cultures that I discover, offer my hands in friendship, and support travel services that share these views and act upon them. That's what the IIPT Credo of the Peaceful Traveler is, and this is something that we ought to be spreading to our customers, to our colleagues, to our partners, and I hope some of it will take. So to answer your question, we don't have a choice, Mark. We need to get going on this.
Ajay, thank you very much. I think we've got varied inputs. We've got windows opening, doors opening. We've got so much of information that has come through. And thank you for Sridhar to bring the word OG in. I'm giving the audience just about a minute and a half. If you have any questions for this very enlightened OG panel over here, please raise your hands and we can have the mic running through. Anyone in the audience for any questions? Only a question, no statements. Right? Do you have a question, gentlemen?
Any of the four, leaving aside Jack aside, what Goa needs to be do differently, according to you, for their own sustainability, besides what we have talked right now?
That's an interesting question, and I have some experience in what I've seen in other destinations, which might be of use. In fact, I think Sir and all of you all in the tourism committee have already started that. I would recommend, and this is really taking off on what Jack said earlier, is to create a product development team. I think that would help you where you have private and government, because what would happen is you have data that's coming in and analytics that are coming in. Now, when you have data and analytics coming in, it needs to be assessed from various perspectives, because you'll have data that comes in, but if it's not analyzed correctly, what would happen is you will get garbage in, garbage out. Typical computer language, right? So you need to have the right set of eyes and lens, as he said, viewing that data. And that can come from a product development team where you have private and government sitting, so that, for example, you're building packages. Very good initiatives are to take the media to see the festival today. But similarly, if you're going to promote communities for social and cultural harmony, how do you do that with, for example, not just religious tourism, but how do you do that even with farm to table, with taking it hinterland? You need to develop products, and to develop products, you need to base on content and data, how the tour buses are going, what sort of data is collected, what sort of areas of Goa are being promoted, hinterland. That data, when it comes back, needs to be assessed from a private perspective, but also from a government perspective. So to answer you in a way, I would say that I would encourage a product development team that looks at all of these aspects.
So you're basically saying bring in data, analyze it, create a product, and then
from
review
private
it
and
again and then
government
take it on an ongoing cycle.
From
Thank you
both
very much.
perspectives, private and government.
Yep.
Based
Thank you.
on what Jack said, I think that would really help.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Andrews.
Yeah, and I would like to add to what Carl and Jack said as well. I strongly believe, and I know, that you gotta bring the stakeholders together. That's a must. You definitely need to involve your chambers of commerce. You gotta involve your tourism associations. Every single stakeholder needs to come together to achieve that ultimate goal. That's gonna be critical as well.
Okay, I don't profess to be a subject matter expert. You are the expert. So all I can say is going back to basics to reimagine the future. What do I mean by that? Go back to your history, culture, what has happened, what has transpired, what are you good at, the uniqueness of Goa. And sometimes the uniqueness of Goa, reimagined, reinterpreted, regenerated is enough. So sometimes the answers lie in your past for the future, right? So I mean, I'm not repeating the points they made, I'm just building on that. Go back to basics, involve the communities because they have the answers, they have the suggestions for the future, and then reimagine the future. My humble suggestion.
Sridhar, thank you very much. Gentlemen, I'm sorry we are out of time. I just want to say thank you very much. Sorry, Ajay.
No, I think basically we need to really look at what is it that drives people today in Goa. Forget, the parties. Forget the big music festivals, which kind of deteriorated into something it wasn't intended to be. Look at things are still relevant. Create those experiences, as Carl said. Have a public-private sort of think tank which comes up with things. It won't happen immediately, but going forward, I think that's the way to go.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, these OGs are not going away anymore. They are going to be around. So if you have any questions for them, please do ask them in the course of the day. Once again, give them a big hand. Thank you very much.
We had a question. Later. So since we are running out of time, I think we can't take any more questions. So what a beautiful and an amazing conversation we had right in front of us. I think the audience over here who has been listening so patiently, I think it's a testament to how beautifully the panelists have put forward all the touch points and all the, discussions so beautifully. So, concluding this panel discussion, this is Kuhelika Roy Chaudhary from Travel Trends Today signing off and handing it over to Mr. Elvis for further rituals. Thank you so much.
I would quickly like to ask Director Tourism, Mr. Sunil Ajipaka, to felicitate our panelists, starting with Mr. G.B. Sridhar. Mr. Ajay Prakash. Mr. Carl Vaz. Mr. Andres Hoyes. Mr. Jack Sukija. And of course, our moderator for this morning, Mr. Mark Mendes. One group photo, please. Sir, one group photograph. One more second, just stay on stage. I just would like to invite the T3 team, who has collated the discussions, please on stage for the photograph. Yeah, call upon Pallavi Mehra, our Senior Group Director from Informa Markets. Shayan Malik, yeah. Koilika, please. Yeah. Thank you, and we start our second session in about 10 minutes from now.